Hello and welcome. I am Professor Khalid Khan at the University of Granada in Spain. Today, we will talk about domestic violence against women and how artificial intelligence apps can be developed for their protection. To discuss this topic, I have with me Professor Juan Manuel, who is my colleague at the university. Juanma, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, yes, my name is Juan Manuel Fernandez Luna, and I am professor at the Department of Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence at the University of Granada. My main research line is the application of artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques to intelligent information access.
Okay, thank you. So here on the screen, you see an article that Juanma and I have co-authored concerning smartphone apps in the field of domestic violence prevention, and we'll talk about this in more detail shortly. But just to set the scene, Juanma, can you explain what is an app?
Yes, an app is a piece of software that can run in a mobile phone or a tablet.
Okay, thank you. So, in a recently published systematic review that is cited over 100 times already, carried out in our department in Granada, we know that the problem of domestic violence against women is prevalent and that it is prevalent worldwide, including a relatively high noticeable prevalence inside the European Union. And from the data published by the World Health Organization, we know that the women in this situation are at risk of serious physical violence, including the possibility of death. So there is an obligation on the scientific community to think about what they can do to make their lives safer. In this regard, we had a project called STOP, funded by the European Union, carried out jointly by Denmark and Spain, where we discovered that screening in form of digital format was feasible. We also developed video consultation and an app for safety planning, but we found that this wasn't feasible as this wasn't preferred by the sample of women on whom we could carry out studies with these interventions. Thus, the idea came to us that could artificial intelligence be incorporated in the app development process to get to a better outcome. So, this is our systematic review where we found that many apps already exist. Some of them are simply informative, others allow you to create a safety plan. But really, what we see from the download data that women want emergency assistance apps. And our detailed analysis of the features of the apps available shows that none of them had an auto alert system. So here there is a possibility that artificial intelligence could play a role. Juanma, could I request you to define artificial intelligence for us?
Well, uh, broadly speaking, we could say that artificial intelligence is the set of techniques and models that tries to simulate the human intelligence in a machine, more or less. We could say that.
Okay, and when this is implemented in an app, the phone could be programmed to call a friend, relative, or the police automatically without the need for the user to touch the phone screen, for example.
Yes, basically the application would be listening the different conversations that the user is having, and then automatically can detect the level of alert of the conversation, and then it could make a phone without the intervention of the user.
Okay, so Juan might take us through what such an app would look like. What would be the first thing a potential user would have to do?
Well, in computer science, we say that when we are going to design an application, we have to have in mind some requirements or functionalities. The first functionality that this application would have would be the user registration, in which the woman should include some basic data like her name, surname, or telephone number. She should configure the application, and then she could include some close contacts, basically family members,
Mhm.
or the local or the national number of the police. But also in this functionality, we could include some voice training in order to have clear the voice of the women and to detect easily in a conversation.
So, to activate the app, the smartphone could just recognize the voice of the registered user, but also potentially a user could use a code word, no?
Yes, this could be we could have into account both alternatives. The first alternative would be that the the application would detect the voice of the woman, and then in that moment it could start the recording. And the other alternative would be that only when the woman says a specific word or sentence, then the application would start recording.
Okay, so once the recording begins, what happens inside the artificial intelligence programming?
Well, in this case, the artificial intelligence would be, we could say, applied into different ways, but
Okay.
complementaries, we could say. The first way would be the analysis of the conversation in terms of the audio.
Mm.
uh, Physical level features would be extracted, like prosodic, spectral, temporal, acoustic, or emotional characteristics. And then with these features, we could run some algorithms in order to extract or to predict the level of alert in this conversation.
Okay.
Parallelly, we could make a transcription from the voice to the speech to text, and then we could also apply some sentiment analysis techniques in order to detect if the conversation is neutral or there is some kind of danger in this conversation. And then with these two outputs, we could combine them with the aim of getting a final level of alert that takes into account the speech and also the transcription.
So, to put simply, if there is shouting and abusive language used, this could potentially, on the basis of analysis of the language being used, uh, send, for example, a voice message to the mother, sister, or a friend that there is a potentially dangerous situation developing.
Yes, you're
If,
right.
and if the level of danger is assessed to be high, could the phone make an automatic phone call?
Yes, it could make an automatic phone call to the police services, and then in that moment, the conversation would be transmitted to the police service in order in order to evaluate by a police agent the level of danger in the conversation, so they can act.
So,
properly.
so they can potentially send some emergency help or find ways to give her assistance
Yes.
according to their own protocols for such emergencies.
Hmm.
What happens with the recording, mate Juanma?
Well, the recording could be managed by the user, so she can keep or remove some recordings if she considers that they are not useful, and the recordings could be used as proofs in a trial um for the situation in course.
If required, yeah. Okay, so to conclude, we see from our literature review that such an app does not exist. How do we proceed from here to make the future better for the potential victims?
Well, basically, we should implement and test this application because we think that this is going very useful in to avoid situations, dangerous situation. So basically, we can avoid these situations and
Make life safer for
for
women in
women.
the
Yes,
future. All
you're
right,
right.
Juanma, with this, we bring this video to an end. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.